Hey guys, it is Top 5 Wednesday time. If you are new to Top 5 Wednesday, it is a Goodreads group created by Ginger Reads Laney and Sam from Thoughts on Tomes. And Sam is the current host of the group. And I will post the link to the group below if you're interested in joining. Or if you just want to know more about it and want to participate, but not necessarily join the group. You just want to do the topics. But anyway, we are given a topic to do each Wednesday of the month, and where we pick our top 5 of something. And this week's topic is our top 5 books you want to read before 2019. And as I said in the previous video, I do have, actually, instead of 5, I have 7 books here, because there were, as I was removing these books from the shelf to show you guys, there were 2 other books that I realized that I shouldn't have included, so I just grabbed them and was like, okay, I'll do 2 bonus ones. Okay, so let's begin, shall we? My first book is one that I did start this month because, well, I started even before. I started, like, last month, because it is Nonfiction November, and this is a nonfiction read. So this first one is that looks like I could potentially read it, but I don't know because it will depend. And that is Marie Antoinette, The Journey by Antonia Fraser. This is, as the title says, about Marie Antoinette. In the beginning of the book, we learn about her childhood, and I imagine we're going to go through her life from her childhood to when she marries the king of France, and eventually says her infamous line, "Let them eat cake," and then eventually ends up in the guillotine. And this is going to be a tragic little story, but I definitely find it very interesting. Like, I like Parisian history. I've always been interested in it. It's just, I feel like I don't read enough of history about Paris. And a lot of it is fiction, not enough like nonfiction about it. So this is my first nonfiction, I think, about France. And actually, I have another book here that takes place in France that I'm including in this. But either way, I'm definitely excited to read it. So I wonder if this was a library book first. It must have been, I guess it wasn't, it was a library book back in 2017, I guess, and then they decided to give it to the bookstore. Because it has the stamp, the library stamp. I don't know if you can't really see it. It's at this last one, the last 2. So I'm definitely eager to read it, and it looks like by the size of it, I could potentially get it done, but before the end of the year, in the next 2 months. It definitely depends, because now that I've started going to the library again, I'm once again getting bringing way too many books home from the library, because it's like, you don't have to pay for these books. So you can get up to like 15 books, I think, from our libraries. It's like, of course you're going to go a little overboard, because you're not wasting your money on these books. And you can read them. There's so many that you want to read, or you're mildly interested in, that you want to check out, but you don't want to spend the money. And so it's tricky, at the library. And also, it's like, sometimes I lose interest in nonfiction, because it's not the most exciting. Like, the other book I actually should have cleared on here is, well, there's like 3 or 4 over here that I'm staring at right now. But one of them is the John Adams one, and that, I know, like, Rincy from Rincy Reads said that she feels like the book is really good, the John Adams book by David McCullough, but in my personal opinion, it does feel I have to disagree, and I do think it's kind of dry. But I am determined to read it. But anyway, and then I also see on here, I gotta read Silence of the Lambs, because I told my friend that one, and then Red Dragon. I'm gonna at least read those 2 from that series. Like, I told her unfortunately I decided to DNF the series because I can't. I mean, it's interesting and everything, but it's kind of boring. I just don't. I'm not a big fan of thrillers. Like, I like watching them. I'll watch them, but I don't feel like reading them. And then there's Roses and Empire of Storms I need to read as well. So yeah, and then Stranger Things Happened by Kelly Link, one of her collections. I'm gonna see if maybe I would like that better than the other one, Get in Trouble. But anyway, but yeah, so I gotta read this one, and I cannot wait. Okay, next book that I have on here is, this is a book that I want to give to my sister because I think she would enjoy it, and that is Crazy Rich Asians by Kevin Kwan. This is actually from a trilogy. There are 3 books, and the movie just came out a couple months ago. That's why in one of the booktubers, another Sam, who's, I can't figure out how to say her channel name, but it is in reference to Outlander series, which is, I believe, one of her favorite series. She talks about this book constantly, how great it is, so I decided to read it. And also, I admit that I was partly thinking, you know, I could, to an extent, I could relate, or at least I could relate to the whole Asian background and everything, because I am part Asian. Like, I'm mostly American, but I do have Asian in me. So that was the other thing I figured it would be kind of fun to read about my culture. The culture I'm like in a small way a part of. Although this is not historical fiction, it's actually, you know, a modern contemporary story. Like, I would rather read adult contemporary than YA contemporary. And I think I would, well, no, it doesn't look like I'm halfway. But basically, it's about this woman, these 2 college professors that meet, fall in love, decide, you know, and they've been dating for a while. And the guy, Nick, decides it's time for his girlfriend, Rachel, to meet his family, who turned out to be the richest people, the rich-ass people of Singapore. But he doesn't tell her that. And he takes Rachel there, and of course it's all about her trying to prove herself to the family, but, you know, as, of course, no one is ever going to be good enough for Nick, according to his mom. And, you know, when his mom is talking to his friend, her friends, they think, oh, she might be a gold digger, and they plant the seeds of distrust in her. And it's, you know, a typical Cinderella, you're not good enough, you'll never be good enough, and her having to prove herself to the family. And then, of course, I imagine it's going to be, like, they're almost going to not, like, she's going to realize, you know, have this moment of, I'm never going to be good enough for your family, am I? And she's almost going to run out on him, and then he's going to eventually, after some moments of thinking, what do I do and everything, and then, like, his friend encouraging him to be like, you know, you should go after her. Don't let her go so easily. And as you can see, despite the fact that I don't read romance, I watch a lot of romance. And they all kind of follow, you know, and you can kind of guess, depending on the type of couple you're dealing with, what the plot's going to be like. But I am a sucker for at least watching them, not reading them, but watching them. Like, I love Hallmark Christmas movies, which are usually centered around a romance. And that's coming up, because it's November, and it's almost December, so Hallmark Christmas movies will be coming up, and they will be playing them all month. It's so awesome. Unfortunately, though, I'm working. I now have a job, so I'm not going to be able to. So as I realized last year, I won't get to watch them as much as I like. But anyway, so yeah, and I figured my sister might like this book, so I'm trying to get this done so I can give it to her at least by December. Which, you would think this would encourage me doing this, but nope. Still won't necessarily, there's still no guarantee that I will get these books done. Okay, so next book, number 3 is one I'm essentially kind of a cheat because I'm already almost done with it. And that is Brandon Sanderson's The Well of Ascension, the second book in the Mistborn trilogy. As you can see, I'm almost done with it. This is basically, this, like I said, the second book in the trilogy. The first book is the bad guy won, and he's a tyrant in these group of rebels who have, have decided to go against the king and start a rebellion and get rid of them. And you have our magic users in this world are basically called Allomancers or Mistings, and meaning they can control when they swallow metals. It will allow them to do really cool powers like running really fast and moving and being telekinetic and never being tired or hungry or anything like that while you're doing work. And our main character, one of our we have two main characters in the first book, Vin and Kelsier. Kelsier is the one leading the rebellion, and Vin is a Ska who apparently is a Mistborn, which is someone who can control more than one element at the same time. And she is part of the Ska, the Ska community, which are the people that the king has suppressed, the Lord Ruler has suppressed over the years. And it's mostly about helping them and saving them. And this book is the second book, which is about the consequences of the end of the first book and how they deal with that, the aftermath of that, and what their next step is. And what's great about Brandon Sanderson is, as everyone says, probably, that he takes tropes in books and basically flips them on their flips them on their head and changes things. And there is a little bit of romance. It doesn't overtake the plot or anything, but it's in there. And see, that makes me happy because I like having romance. I just don't want it to overtake the plot. And that's the problem, especially with YA. A lot of times they write romance that overtakes the plot, and that's particularly because, well, you're dealing with teenagers. So it's like they're hormonal, they experience their first loves and all that good stuff, and deciding if they should have sex now or wait until they're at least more experienced in life and have dated more than one person, or if they should wait until, they get married. But anyway, so yeah, I'm really enjoying this, and this will be my second Brandon Sanderson book, and I'm almost done with it, so I think this one has the best chance of me getting it finished. Okay, so number 4 is, I picked The Female Persuasion by Megan Wolitzer. This was a book that was indirectly recommended to me by Jen from Insert Literary Pun. She reads a lot of literary and historical fiction. I don't know if she reads horror or thriller or anything, but this one was also on one of those, I think, prize list. I want to say, I think the women's prize list. And it is basically about this young woman when she goes to college, a college that she didn't get accepted in. She originally didn't want to go to because it wasn't, I think, Harvard was a school that she wanted to go to, but her parents forgot to send in the right amount of money, so she didn't get to go there, so she had to settle for the next best thing. And when she gets there, she is introduced with help from her college roommate to this woman, Faith Frank, who is like the Gloria Steinem of this story. She's a feminist, and it's about our protagonist, whose name is Greer. It's about her relationship with Faith Frank and how she becomes part of her circle and becomes super feminist, and how it affects her relationship with her boyfriend, who is really struggling, and trying to figure out who he is and trying to get into a career. And something in the part I recently read, the chapter I just read, something tragic happened in his family, and he's struggling with that. And so far, it's all about his relationship with Greer and how her relationship with Faith Frank has kind of affects their relationship and pulls them apart. And so far, I'm really liking it. And this is what I definitely want to get done before the end of this year, because it's a book that my mom bought for me, ordered for me, bought off online because it would be cheaper on Amazon. And, like, she has said to me in the past, she's commented saying, you know, I just bought you this book, have you finished, you know, I'm buying you all these books, but have you finished the other books that I bought you in the past? Something along those lines. So I'm also trying to get books, but then that she's ordered for me recently. Of course, the other problem is that I'm also trying to get books that read books that I've had for a long time, like The Portrait of a Lady, for instance. And then books that, you know, the 3 books that I have from my sister, that I need to get those done, and then books that I've had that are part of a series that I need to finish the series. I mean, there are so many things I need to read, and I'm struggling here. But yeah, so that's the next book that I want to get done. Hopefully I can get done by next year. And then the last one, or not the officially last one, but the last one out of the first 5 books, the 5, is The Phantom of the Opera by Gaston Leroux. I don't know if you're saying that right. I've seen the movie quite a few times. I actually have it, the special edition version, and I've seen the stage show, I think twice now, I think that's one of the ones I've seen more than once. And I just wanted to, you know, I figured it's about time I read the book, and it's, you know, looks pretty small. You know, it doesn't look that long. And I figured, you know, I would either read it in October or December. I don't know why I think it's a Christmas book, but it was either a Christmas book or an October book. Again, this is one of the books where probably the first part is introduction, you know, and like background on the author and stuff. Sorry, I don't know why I'm wasting your guys' time with looking through this. But anyway, so I don't want to read the book. You know, I'm familiar with the plot, but now I want to read the original book. And actually, the first time that I was interested in the book was my sophomore theater teacher. I saw she had a copy of the book, and that got my attention because I do love the stage, you know, the actual stage musical. Starring Gerard Butler and Emmy Rossum, the movie version, I should say. And I enjoy watching the actual stage show. I thought that was really fun. So now I want to actually read the book at some point. And like I said, I don't know why. It just feels like a Christmas book. Maybe because part of the story does take place around Christmas time. Or at least according to the musical, it does. It was either that or reading it around October, and I never got around to it in October. Because I was also trying to read all my library books. Okay, so the 2 bonus books I have here that I realized I need to read, I should try to read by the end of the month, by the end of the year, is North and South, which is kind of a Pride and Prejudice, but set during the Industrial Revolution in the city, not in the country. And I kind of personally prefer this one over the original Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. Nothing against it, and I love Jane Austen, and Jane Austen's great, you know. Her books are very beautiful, and I get what they do for people, and, you know, I mean, I've only read 2 of them, of course, so. And I still prefer Pride and Prejudice over Sense and Sensibility, as far as her books are concerned, but I have not read any of her other ones, but I'm familiar with the stories because I've seen the movie on-screen versions of those stories. So, but, I do like this one better over Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice. And as you can see, I'm pretty far in it, so I have potential to get it done. I hate it. See, that's the only problem with these kind of bookmarks. the ones that have the tassels, is they can come apart easily. Like, they can come undone. And I have some of my tassels where the strings have actually started, the actual tassel part, the strings have come out. Like, but anyway, so I'm wondering, this one I could potentially get done by the end of the year. And I definitely recommend this if you like Victorian literature. I think it's really good. And then the other one is one I keep starting, and that is, and although at least I've gone a little farther, I've gone to at least chapter 6, the most recent time I read it, and that is A Tree Grows in Brooklyn by Betty Smith. And so far, this is basically a coming-of-age story about a young girl living in New York. You know, a young Jewish girl. And of course, you know, and this is during, like, it starts during World War I. And of course, you know, back then, for people that weren't Jewish, life sucked. There was a lot of racism towards you. I think it was the, you know, or, would it be racism? Would that be the term? But anyway, and you know, so they were, so it was pretty tough. I want to read this one because it's considered a classic and it's on a lot of lists. Like, I think I saw it on the top 100 Great American Reads list. I think I saw that one on there. You know, and it's also, I want to say it's on the Rory Gilmore reading list. And I'm talking about Rory Gilmore from the show Gilmore Girls. I think it's on her list of books that she's read, on the list of books that she would have read, that were mentioned on the series. But either way, yeah, I want to read this one as well. So those are my two bonus ones. So what are your top 5 books that you want to read before the end of the year? If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and click subscribe if you have not already. I would really appreciate it, and I will talk to you all later. Enjoy your reading. Bye.